It started with a moment no one expected, a live TV panel that was supposed to be another predictable round of political sparring. But what happened that night sparked a fire that would blaze across social media, news outlets, and into the hearts of millions. The camera lights were hot, the tension palpable. Senator Ted Cruz sat across from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett on a national primetime broadcast, a debate on criminal justice reform, policing, and racial equity. The two had already exchanged sharp words earlier in the segment, but things escalated when Cruz, with his trademark smirk, leaned forward and uttered words that would change everything. "Well, Congresswoman," Cruz said, his tone dripping with condescension. "It's easy to shout slogans when you've only recently gone from the courtroom to Congress. Remind me, were you a real lawyer or just another activist playing politician?" The moment hung in the air like a slap. The host froze. The panel grew silent. Viewers around the country leaned closer to their screens, some in shock, others in anger, all waiting for Jasmine Crockett's response. But she didn't flinch. Instead, Jasmine leaned forward with grace, her voice calm yet cutting. Eyes locked on Cruz, and in just 20 seconds, she delivered a response that would echo far beyond that studio. "Senator, I didn't come from privilege. I came from hard-working parents who taught me to fight for people who've been ignored all their lives. I earned my law degree, defended those who couldn't afford justice, and stood in courtrooms where the stakes were life or death, not cable news soundbites. So yes, I'm an activist. I'm a lawyer, and I'm a congresswoman, and I earned every title the hard way. Unlike you, I didn't inherit my platform, I built it." There was a silence so thick it could be felt through the screen. Ted Cruz blinked, stunned. He had nothing to say. The host quickly cut to commercial, but it was too late. The internet exploded. Clips of Jasmine's response went viral within minutes. On TikTok, teens stitched the clip with their own cheers. Twitter lit up with hashtags like #CrockettClapback and #earned, not given. Even conservative commentators were forced to admit that was a masterclass in composure. But the story doesn't end on TV. The true story, the one that inspired millions, is what happened behind those 20 seconds. Jasmine Crockett wasn't always a congresswoman. She was a young black girl growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, in a working-class neighborhood where police sirens were the lullaby of the night and ambition was a fragile dream. Her mother was a schoolteacher who poured everything into her students, and her father, a mechanic who never missed a day of work in 20 years. They believed in education. They believed in fighting for what's right. In high school, Jasmine had classmates who never made it past 10th grade, victims of a broken system. She watched friends taken by gun violence, drugs, or a prison system that didn't forgive. She knew early that survival wasn't enough. She wanted to change the rules. That's why she went to law school. It wasn't easy. There were days when she worked 3 jobs just to afford her books, nights when she studied in her car because she couldn't afford the power bill. But she kept going. She passed the bar. She became a public defender, standing up for the voiceless. She watched men weep when she fought for their freedom, not because she was a miracle, but because someone finally saw them. So when Jasmine Crockett ran for Congress, she didn't run with the money of super PACs. She ran with stories, stories of the people she defended, the families she sat with in courtrooms, the communities she walked through during storms, both literal and political. That's what Ted Cruz tried to mock that night, not just her background, but everything she represents: resilience, struggle, authenticity. But here's the part that inspired the world. Jasmine didn't respond with anger. She didn't raise her voice or stoop to Cruz's level. Her power was in her truth, and truth spoken plainly, proudly, and with purpose can't be shouted down. In the days that followed, Jasmine was invited onto talk shows, podcasts, and news programs. People in cities across the country wrote letters, thanking her for showing their daughters what strength looks like. In classrooms, teachers played the clip to show what dignity under fire means. Young girls started tagging her in videos, saying, "I want to be like her." One woman, standing in front of the entire political machine, had reminded the world that no one can mock what you've truly earned, especially when it's been forged in fire. By the end of the week, a photo went viral. Jasmine Crockett, standing outside the Capitol steps, her head held high, the caption, simple but powerful, "I came to serve, not to bow." The moral of her story is one the world needed to hear. Never let someone's mockery dim your purpose. Your struggle is your strength. Your story is your power. And when you speak from truth, no one, not even a senator, can shut you down. And that is how Jasmine Crockett turned a cheap insult into a defining moment of courage, authenticity, and power.